In a society that prizes conformity over individuality, imagine the power of standing alone, even if it means facing disdain and rejection. What if, instead of seeking universal approval, one dared to embody a philosophy that embraced solitude as a sign of strength? This is the bold call to the courage to be hated, a provocative concept woven through the fabric of Nietzsche's philosophy. As we delve into this idea, we encounter a narrative of self-overcoming, radical authenticity, and a relentless pursuit of truth that challenges the very foundations of conventional morality. Nietzsche's work, steeped in piercing insights and provocative challenges, invites us to question not only our values, but also the very nature of acceptance. How can one remain true to an inner vision when society clamors for uniformity? Nietzsche's philosophy teaches us that true freedom lies in the ability to forge one's own path, even if that journey leads to alienation. He famously declared, "I am not a man, I am dynamite," a statement that encapsulates his readiness to disrupt established norms at any cost. But what exactly does it mean to wield such explosive authenticity in a world that fears difference? At its core, Nietzsche's perspective is an exploration of the human spirit's capacity to challenge mediocrity. His thought is replete with a call for introspection, a demand that we peel back the layers of convention to uncover our genuine selves. In this process, he confronts the paradox of being despised for daring to think independently. How does one reconcile the desire for acceptance with the need to remain unyielding in one's personal truths? Nietzsche's answer is as uncompromising as it is inspiring. It is better to stand alone than to live under the suffocating weight of collective expectation. Consider the essence of philosophy as Nietzsche practiced it, a relentless interrogation of established values, an unflinching critique of societal complacency. His work does not offer comfort. Instead, it urges us to question every inherited assumption. Become who you are, he exhorts, urging individuals to embark on a journey of self-discovery that often requires the rejection of popular opinion. This maxim challenges us. What does it truly mean to own one's identity? How can we craft a personal narrative when the world insists on a script written in collective ink? The concept of the courage to be hated is not a call for antagonism, but rather a profound recognition that rejection is the inevitable consequence of living authentically. Nietzsche's philosophy posits that the transformative process of self-overcoming demands a willingness to endure opposition. In his view, societal norms are not immutable laws, but rather constructs that can and should be transcended. When one chooses to defy these constraints, criticism follows. Yet, as Nietzsche's writings illustrate, the price of authenticity is measured not in superficial acceptance, but in the freedom to pursue one's own destiny. What then propels an individual to withstand the sting of disapproval? Is it merely stubborn pride, or does it emerge from a deeper existential resolve? Nietzsche challenges us to examine the roots of our fear. What holds us back from embracing a life defined by our own standards? His philosophical approach is a call to cultivate inner strength, to reject the need for external validation, and to trust in the transformative power of one's unique vision. The courage to be hated, therefore, becomes a badge of honor for those who dare to live boldly in defiance of the norm. This idea resonates deeply with the notion of the Übermensch in Nietzsche's thought, a figure who transcends the limitations imposed by society and creates new values from the chaos of existence. The Übermensch is not bound by traditional morals or conventional expectations, but is instead a creator of meaning in a world that has lost its sense of purpose. In this light, the act of being hated is not a mark of failure, but rather an indication that one is engaged in the difficult work of revaluation. Does this mean that to be great is to be misunderstood? Nietzsche seems to suggest so, offering a stark contrast to the comfort of conformity. Yet the journey towards such radical individualism is fraught with existential questions. How does one build a personal moral framework when the established systems have been deconstructed? Nietzsche's philosophy urges us to reconsider the foundations of our beliefs, advocating for a reconstruction of values that is as personal as it is revolutionary. In asking ourselves, what is the nature of morality when stripped of societal trappings, we step into a realm where the only true measure is the authenticity of one's inner life. It is here that philosophy serves not as a doctrine to follow, but as a tool to liberate the mind from the chains of convention. Moreover, the courage to be hated is intricately linked to the acceptance of life's inherent contradictions. Nietzsche recognized that human existence is a tapestry woven with threads of suffering, joy, despair, and triumph. In his view, the willingness to confront the bitter truths of life is what ultimately allows us to experience its full richness. Consider the question, how can we grow if we are insulated from criticism and adversity? The process of grappling with discomfort is in many ways the crucible in which true character is forged. Nietzsche's philosophy does not promise an easy path. It demands that we embrace the chaos within ourselves in order to birth something extraordinary, a dancing star emerging from the tumult of existence. This exploration of inner chaos is central to Nietzsche's legacy. His assertion that one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star speaks to the necessity of accepting and integrating the darker aspects of our being. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to risk being misunderstood or even despised, we open the door to profound personal transformation. What does it take to turn inner turmoil into creative energy? Nietzsche's answer is not to avoid the inevitable struggles of life, but to confront them head-on, using philosophy as a guide to navigate the storm. The psychological dimensions of this challenge are vast and complex. Modern psychology often emphasizes the importance of social acceptance for mental well-being, yet Nietzsche's thought turns this idea on its head, suggesting that the quest for approval may be a barrier to true self-realization. How do we reconcile the innate human need for belonging with the imperative to live authentically? Perhaps the answer lies in redefining what it means to belong, not to a conventional group or ideology, but to a community of like-minded individuals who value independent thought over blind consensus. In this sense, the courage to be hated is not a rejection of all social bonds, but a reimagining of them on our own terms. In the realm of art and literature, Nietzsche's ideas have inspired countless creators who chose to defy mainstream expectations. His philosophy champions a form of individualism that finds beauty in rebellion and strength in solitude. Artists, writers, and musicians who have dared to express their unique visions often faced scorn from those unwilling to see beyond familiar boundaries. Yet it is precisely this willingness to endure criticism that has fueled some of the most groundbreaking cultural movements. Does this imply that the seeds of innovation are planted in the soil of rejection? Nietzsche's writings suggest that only through the courage to be hated can one truly break free from the limitations of the past and usher in a new era of creativity. Furthermore, the existential questions posed by Nietzsche's philosophy extend to every aspect of modern life. In an age dominated by social media and instantaneous feedback, the pressure to conform is more intense than ever. We are bombarded daily by images and messages that dictate what is acceptable, desirable, or even normal. Amid this digital cacophony, the idea of deliberately courting disapproval may seem counterintuitive. Yet Nietzsche's vision challenges us to look beyond the superficial metrics of popularity and to find meaning in the struggle for self-definition. What are the costs of living authentically in a world obsessed with likes and shares, and can we reclaim our inner freedom in the face of relentless digital scrutiny? The answer, according to Nietzsche's philosophy, lies in the art of self-resilience. By cultivating an inner life that is independent of external validation, we gain the strength to stand apart from the crowd. This process requires not only intellectual rigor, but also emotional courage. It asks us to question the very nature of our desires and to examine whether our actions are driven by an authentic inner calling or by a need to appease others. How can one discern between these two impulses? The journey towards self-mastery is one of constant reflection, a practice of questioning and re-evaluation that is at the heart of philosophical inquiry. One powerful theme in Nietzsche's work is the idea of self-overcoming. Rather than seeking refuge in the comfort of societal norms, he challenges us to dismantle the structures that limit our potential. What if, he asks implicitly, the obstacles you fear are the very stepping stones to your liberation? In this light, every act of defiance becomes an opportunity for growth, and every instance of being hated is a testament to one's commitment to personal evolution. Such an approach transforms criticism from a source of pain into a catalyst for reinvention. Yet, embracing this philosophy is not without its difficulties. The road to authenticity is often lonely, and the fear of isolation can be overwhelming. What happens when the very act of living true to oneself leads to estrangement from family, friends, or community? Nietzsche's writings do not offer simple answers, but they do remind us that every transformative journey is marked by sacrifice. The courage to be hated is in many ways a call to accept solitude as part of the process of becoming. In this acceptance, we find the resilience to face not only external rejection, but also our own internal doubts. The implications of Nietzsche's thought reach far beyond the realm of individual psychology. They extend into the social and political spheres, challenging the power structures that rely on conformity to maintain control. When we ask, what is the role of dissent in a healthy society, we are tapping into one of the central concerns of Nietzsche's philosophy. His critique of herd mentality reveals how mass opinion can stifle innovation and suppress the development of new ideas. In advocating for the courage to be hated, Nietzsche champions a form of intellectual and cultural rebellion that is essential for progress. Could it be that the very act of challenging the status quo is the only way to catalyze meaningful change? This revolutionary spirit is not confined to the abstract realms of thought. It has practical applications in everyday life. For instance, consider the process of forging one's personal identity in a world where we are constantly bombarded with expectations. The decision to chart an independent course requires both introspection and bravery. How do we begin to disentangle our true selves from the myriad influences of society? Nietzsche's philosophy offers a pathway through critical self-examination and the deliberate rejection of preordained roles. In doing so, it empowers us to construct a personal moral code that is reflective of our own experiences and aspirations, rather than a mere echo of conventional wisdom. As we navigate this terrain, it is worth asking, what practices might help us nurture the strength required to live authentically? Many who have embraced Nietzsche's ideals point to the importance of daily reflection, the cultivation of creative expression, and the courage to engage in uncomfortable dialogue. Whether through art, literature, or rigorous intellectual debate, the process of questioning one's assumptions is central to the journey towards self-realization. In this way, philosophy becomes a practical tool, a means of transforming existential uncertainty into a source of empowerment and insight. The courage to be hated, then, is not an isolated ideal but a multifaceted challenge that intersects with art, ethics, and personal transformation. It is a call to dismantle the false dichotomy between strength and vulnerability, inviting us to see that true power lies in embracing both. Nietzsche's philosophy is replete with a notion that the path to greatness is paved with contradictions. How can one be both open to criticism and unwavering in one's convictions? The answer, as Nietzsche suggests, is to cultivate a self that is resilient in the face of external judgment, while remaining fluid enough to evolve in response to new insights. This dynamic interplay between firmness and adaptability is perhaps best captured in Nietzsche's insistence on the revaluation of all values. He challenges us to scrutinize the moral prescriptions handed down by society and to reconstruct them from the ground up, based on our own lived experiences and rational reflections. In doing so, we transform the act of being hated into an opportunity for creative reinvention. Rather than viewing criticism as a threat, we learn to see it as a mirror reflecting the societal norms we must transcend in order to become who we truly are. Modern thinkers and cultural icons have long found inspiration in this Nietzschean call for radical authenticity. In a world increasingly dominated by digital conformity and algorithm echo chambers, the idea of embracing one's individuality, even at the risk of inciting controversy, has never been more relevant. How can we, in our own lives, cultivate a mindset that values introspection over popularity and depth over superficial acclaim? The answer lies in revisiting the core tenets of philosophy, as articulated by Nietzsche and other maverick thinkers who have dared to question the status quo. This journey towards self-empowerment is marked by continuous questioning. What does it mean to be truly free? Can one live a life that is both independent and connected? And how do we reconcile the inherent tension between our need for social belonging and the imperative to remain unyielding in our personal convictions? Nietzsche's writings provide no easy answers, but they do encourage us to confront these dilemmas with honesty and intellectual rigor. His work stands as a testament to the belief that the process of questioning is in itself an act of liberation. One of the most profound lessons to be gleaned from Nietzsche's philosophy is the idea that transformation is a deliberate, often painful process. The willingness to face hostility, to be misunderstood, and even to be hated, is not a sign of weakness, but a hallmark of a life lived authentically. It is an invitation to examine the self with uncompromising honesty, to acknowledge our imperfections, and in doing so to transcend them. As Nietzsche once intimated, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. This evocative image challenges us to embrace the inherent disorder of our inner lives as a precursor to creative brilliance. Yet as we ponder this profound transformation, we are led to ask, what is the true cost of authenticity? Is the price of individuality measured solely in moments of isolation and disdain, or does it also encompass the richness of self-discovery and personal growth? Nietzsche's philosophy suggests that the hardships we endure in the pursuit of truth are not burdens but investments in the creation of a life that is uniquely our own. The courage to be hated, then, is not a surrender to negativity, but an assertion of one's right to exist on one's own terms. In reflecting on the practical implications of this Nietzschean ideal, it is clear that the challenge extends to every facet of our modern existence, from the boardroom to the classroom, from the realm of creative expression to the intimate space of personal relationships. The call to live authentically reverberates across diverse domains. How can we apply these principles in environments that often reward conformity and penalize divergence? The answer may lie in cultivating a mindset that views challenges as opportunities, transformative moments that compel us to re-examine our assumptions and reinvent our narratives. The interplay between vulnerability and strength is central to this endeavor. While many fear that the courage to be hated inevitably leads to loneliness, Nietzsche's philosophy offers a more nuanced perspective. True self-reliance does not imply a rejection of all human connection, rather it calls for a redefinition of what it means to relate to others. When we free ourselves from the tyranny of external validation, we open the possibility for deeper, more authentic relationships, ones built not on the superficial foundations of societal approval, but on mutual recognition of each other's individuality. Could it be that in the act of embracing our differences, we ultimately foster a more genuine sense of community? This question is especially pertinent in an era where social media often amplifies the pressure to conform. In the digital age, the metrics of popularity can obscure the more meaningful measures of personal integrity and intellectual depth. Nietzsche's philosophy serves as a powerful counterpoint to this trend, reminding us that the pursuit of authenticity is not only a personal act but a radical stance against a culture that values uniformity over true diversity. It challenges us to consider what is the role of philosophy in guiding our responses to an increasingly homogenized world, and how can we harness the transformative power of critical thought to carve out spaces for genuine expression. By engaging with these questions, we enter into a dialogue that is both timeless and urgently modern. Nietzsche's insistence on the revaluation of all values is a call to arms for anyone willing to challenge the status quo, a reminder that the path to self-realization is often strewn with obstacles precisely because it disrupts the comfortable narratives of collective existence. This disruption, far from being a mere act of rebellion, is the crucible in which new ideas are forged. It is an invitation to question not only the world around us but also the assumptions that underlie our perceptions of identity and morality. In contemplating the courage to be hated, we are confronted with an enduring paradox. The very act of defying societal expectations demands both solitude and connection. Nietzsche's philosophy does not advocate for an aesthetic withdrawal from the world. Rather, it encourages a kind of engagement that is deeply personal and intellectually independent. How do we balance the need for introspection with the desire for meaningful interaction? The answer may lie in cultivating communities that honor dissent and celebrate diversity of thought, a modern manifestation of the Nietzsche ideal, where individuals are free to express their uniqueness without fear of ostracism. Ultimately, the courage to be hated is a testament to the transformative power of philosophy. It is an invitation to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, the joy and the sorrow, the triumph and the despair, and to use these contrasts as fuel for personal growth. Nietzsche's work challenges us to reject the allure of easy answers and to engage with life's complexities in all their messy, contradictory glory. In doing so, we not only honor the legacy of one of philosophy's most provocative figures, but also embark on a journey toward a richer, more authentic existence. As we conclude this exploration, we are left with a final resonant question. Are you prepared to step beyond the safe confines of conventional approval and to embrace the radical freedom that comes from living on your own terms? Nietzsche's philosophy offers no simple prescriptions, only an enduring call to courage, creativity, and self-discovery. His legacy reminds us that the path to greatness is often solitary and fraught with challenges. Yet it is precisely this arduous journey that holds the promise of true liberation. In reflecting on the myriad themes that have emerged from the rejection of herd mentality to the transformative power of self-overcoming, we are invited to see that the courage to be hated is not merely a personal stance, but a revolutionary act. It is a declaration that life, in all its chaos and contradiction, is worth living authentically. And while the price of such authenticity may sometimes be isolation or misunderstanding, it is also the very foundation upon which new values and new possibilities are built. In the final analysis, Nietzsche's message is both a challenge and an opportunity, a call to reimagine our lives as works of art, crafted with the bold strokes of individual vision and the unyielding commitment to truth. As you contemplate your own journey, consider the possibility that the fear of being hated is not a deterrent, but a beacon illuminating the path to your true self.
The question remains, will you heed this call and dare to live as your most authentic self, even if it means enduring the inevitable criticism of those who cling to outdated norms? Nietzsche's philosophy implores us to recognize that every act of self-assertion is a step toward a more vibrant, self-determined existence. It is a reminder that the courage to be hated is not about courting conflict for its own sake, but about embracing the power of transformation that lies in rejecting the status quo. In this spirit, let us all ask ourselves, what is the cost of our own conformity, and what might we gain if we choose instead to pursue the bold, uncompromising path of self-realization? Embrace the chaos, question relentlessly, and above all dare to be different. The legacy of Nietzsche's philosophy is not a call to isolation, but a summons to live with passion, conviction, and an unwavering commitment to one's own values, a call that continues to inspire who seek not only to exist but to truly thrive in a world that often fears the very spark of individuality.